Chapter 1. The hum of machinery reverberated through the metallic walls of the underground colony on Valera, a stark contrast to the peaceful silence of the morning sky above. Captain Alex Carter stood by the observation window, staring out at the distant horizon. The Adventurer, the human ship that frequently made the trek between Valera and nearby colonies, was slowly descending through the sky. There was something off about its approach today. It was too slow, its trajectory slightly off, and the comms had been unusually quiet. Something doesn't feel right. Lieutenant Mara Novak's voice broke through his thoughts, her tone sharp as she entered the room. She leaned over his shoulder, eyes scanning the distant ship. "You see it too, don't you?" Alex nodded. "I feel it, and I don't like it." Just as the words left his mouth, the distant stars above the colony began to shimmer unnaturally, a ripple in space that seemed to distort everything in its path. The Adventurer disappeared in a flash, its coordinates now a void. "Damn it," Alex muttered, turning on his heel. "Get to command. We're under attack." Within seconds, alarms blared through the colony, red lights flashing, casting a haunting glow on the faces of the crew. In the command center, the situation unfolded with terrifying speed. Captain Varick's pirate fleet, previously undetectable, now appeared from the shadows of space. The enemy ships were sleek and terrifying, massive warships outfitted with the latest cloaking technology, armed to the teeth. "I want full comms up, now," Alex barked, his voice firm and commanding as he leaned over the tactical console. He quickly glanced at Mara. "Get the civilians to the underground shelters. We need to buy ourselves time." Mara hesitated only a moment. "What about the outer defenses?" "We'll have to trust them for now. If they break through, we'll deal with it." His eyes flicked to the looming pirate fleet on the screen. He didn't believe in trusting enemy technology, not for a second. "I'll contact the fleet, but we need to prepare for the worst." Mara nodded, her face hardening. "Understood." She turned and strode out of the room, her boots echoing against the steel floors. Alex watched her leave before looking back at the screen. His heart sank. He had led troops through skirmishes, but this was different. The pirate fleet wasn't just aiming to conquer. They were here to decimate. Valera had always been a strategic outpost, valuable for its resources, but never a target on this scale. No one had expected this level of aggression. He clenched his fists, the weight of responsibility settling heavily on his shoulders. His people depended on him, and he would not fail them. The pirates wasted no time. As the first wave of assault ships shot through the colony's outer defense perimeter, the colony's automated defenses began to whir to life. But Alex knew it wouldn't be enough. The pirates had already anticipated this. Their ships were equipped with advanced cloaking devices and the latest in combat technology. Humans couldn't match that firepower. Not head-on, but humans had something pirates never did. "I'm ready." Lieutenant Thomas Ramirez's voice echoed through the comms. "The charge is set. Let's take those bastards down." Alex's lips pressed into a tight line as he activated the colony's internal communication system. "Do it, Ramirez. We'll hold them as long as we can." The first wave of human missiles flew out of the colony's hidden launch bays, cutting through the void with deadly precision. Several pirate ships erupted in bursts of flame, their cloaking systems faltering under the assault. For a fleeting moment, the humans had the advantage. But it didn't last. The pirates' flagship, a towering ship called the Tempest, fired back with an overwhelming volley of laser blasts, knocking out several of the colony's outer defense towers in a single sweep. "Shit," Alex muttered under his breath. "They're pushing through faster than we thought." On the ground, the sounds of explosions shook the earth beneath his feet. The pirates were coming, ground troops, advanced exosuits, and energy shields. They had been preparing for this. Alex turned to the comms console. "Novak, status on the shelters?" "I'm rounding up the last group now," came Mara's voice. "It's chaos down here, but they're safe for now." "How are we doing up top?" "Not good. Get everyone underground. I'm not sure we can hold them for much longer." He looked out at the battlefield again, his mind racing. He had a decision to make. Fight the pirates head-on and risk everyone's lives, or buy them time and hope for reinforcements. Neither option felt promising. At that moment, Mara's voice came through again, crackling with urgency. Alex, you need to see this. He followed her voice through the labyrinth of hallways until he reached the war room. She stood before the holographic display, eyes narrowed in concentration. The pirates had deployed a massive siege weapon, a cannon large enough to level entire cities. Do we have a shot at it? Alex asked, his voice steely. I'll do my best, she replied. But we need a clear line of sight, and they're already adapting to our tactics. Alex stepped closer to the map, his mind racing. If we can't take that gun out, then we lose. It was that simple. The cannon was the key. If they couldn't destroy it, the pirates would rain down hell on them, wiping out everything in its path. Alex's pulse quickened, the weight of leadership pressing down like never before. He gritted his teeth. We're not going down without a fight. Mara nodded, determination flashing in her eyes. No, we're not. The battle had only just begun. Chapter 2. The chaos outside the colony's protective barrier continued to escalate, but inside the command center, the crew operated with precision and focus. Alarms blared across the dim-lit room as Alex paced before the tactical console, his eyes scanning the data feeds. The pirate fleet had advanced far too quickly, their flagship the Tempest looming ominously at the heart of the oncoming storm. Damage reports? Alex's voice was steady, but his brow was furrowed in concentration. Shields are down to 30%, Captain. Sergeant Hall's voice crackled through the comms. Outer defenses are holding, but they won't last more than 10 minutes. Alex's jaw tightened. His fingers hovered over the comms console, but he didn't reach for it just yet. The humans on Valera had fought wars, had weathered storms, but this felt different. The pirates weren't just raiders. They were calculating, methodical, and merciless. And he had no idea how long they could hold out. Captain, Mara Novak's voice interrupted his thoughts. She stepped into the room, her face pale but resolute. I got bad news. Our forces are already pulling back to the secondary lines. The pirate ground troops are pushing forward faster than anticipated. Alex nodded, his face grim. That was expected. What's the situation in the shelter? Mara sighed, glancing at the ground before meeting his gaze. We got civilians holed up for now. But I'm worried, Alex. The pirates are too well equipped. We can't keep hiding forever. Then it's time to strike back, Alex said, his tone hardening. We'll hold the pirates at bay long enough to buy time for the fleet. Our best shot is to destroy their siege weapon, the Tempest cannon. It's their key to leveling us, and we can't let them use it. Mara gave him a sharp nod, a flicker of something dangerous in her eyes. We'll need a distraction. Something big. Something to draw their attention away from the cannon long enough to give us a shot at it. A sudden explosion rumbled beneath their feet, shaking the entire colony. Alex's gut clenched. The pirates were getting closer. He turned to his comms officer. Send out the order. Prepare the secondary squadron for an assault. We're going to hit them with everything we've got. The cold air of the planet's surface stung as Alex, flanked by Mara and several of his best soldiers, suited up for the mission. Their destination. A series of caves hidden beneath the colony where the pirates' ground troops were preparing to storm the inner defenses. Alex tightened his helmet seal, eyes meeting Mara's. The weight of their situation hung heavy in the air. This is it, Mara said, her voice low. Once we're in, there's no turning back. Alex clenched his fists. We don't need to turn back. We need to win. The team boarded the transport, the sound of clanking metal reverberating in the small compartment as the dropship's engines powered up. Through the viewport, the colony's defenses seemed to flicker with life, holding the pirates back for now. But they wouldn't last long. As the ship descended toward the surface, the planet's rocky landscape rushed toward them. The last vestiges of daylight had already vanished, leaving only the faint glow of distant stars and the silhouettes of the pirate forces creeping toward the colony's core. 5 minutes to drop, the pilot's voice crackled over the comms. Get ready, team. Alex didn't respond. His mind was too focused on the mission at hand. The pirates had underestimated human resolve, and that would be their downfall. He wouldn't let them turn Valera into a graveyard, not while he still had a breath in his body. The transport touched down with a jolt, and Alex's boots hit the ground in a soft crunch of gravel. His team quickly fanned out, weapons drawn, eyes scanning the surroundings. The pirate forces had already dug in, setting up automated turrets along the perimeter of the colony's access tunnels. "We need to clear a path," Alex said, his voice low but commanding. Mara gave a curt nod. "Cover the left flank. I'll take the right." The rest of the team moved into position, weapons raised, ready to engage. As the first pirate sentry appeared from behind a jagged rock formation, Alex raised his rifle and fired. The shot rang out with a sharp crack, sending the sentry stumbling back. One down. He motioned for the others to advance, their footsteps light but deliberate. They moved in a tight formation, the hum of their gear the only sound against the backdrop of distant explosions. Mara signaled for Alex to follow her as they neared the entrance to the caves. The path was narrow, winding, and almost impossible to navigate without the aid of their sensors. Alex's fingers flexed around the grip of his rifle as he led the team forward. Inside the caves, the air was thick with tension. The narrow passageways seemed to swallow any light they had brought with them, casting the entire team in shadow. "How many?" Alex whispered to Mara, who had her sensor array out, scanning the path ahead. "Too many," she murmured. "But we have the advantage. They're spread thin." A sudden screech echoed from deeper within the caves. The pirate ground forces had spotted them. Alex barely had time to react before the first wave of enemy soldiers rushed toward them, weapons raised. "Take them down," Alex ordered. The battle erupted in a flurry of laser fire and explosions. Mara's shots rang out with deadly precision, while Alex's team laid down covering fire. Every movement was calculated, every shot deliberate. Human resilience in its purest form. As they advanced deeper into the caves, Alex's thoughts raced. They needed to hold the pirates long enough to disable their siege weapon. If they could buy enough time, reinforcements might arrive, tipping the scales in their favor. But the pirates were relentless, and every step forward felt like a battle for survival. Chapter 3. The cave shook with the sound of distant explosions, the air reverberating as Alex's team pushed forward deeper into the pirates' stronghold. The intensity of their assault had given the pirates pause, but only for a moment. They were relentless, and time was running out. "Clear!" Mara shouted from the front, her rifle smoking from the last exchange of fire. She gestured for the others to advance, her eyes scanning the dark passageway ahead. "Not yet," Alex muttered under his breath, his hand gripping his weapon tighter. The pirates had set up barricades further down, and they knew the team was coming. It wouldn't be long before reinforcements flooded the narrow tunnels. As they moved deeper into the caves, the tension was palpable. The sound of the battle outside, the crackling of energy blasts, the distant rumble of the pirates' siege weapons grew louder with every step. It felt as if the very ground beneath them was alive with the pulse of war. Alex's mind raced, trying to keep track of every possible move. The primary goal had never changed: disable the siege weapon. But now, with every passing moment, the odds felt more stacked against them. The pirates were good, well-organized, and aggressive. If they couldn't break through soon, the colony would fall. Mara's voice snapped him out of his thoughts. "We've got company," she said, her voice sharp with tension. From the shadows ahead, a group of pirate soldiers emerged. Their faces were covered with angular helmets, their weapons raised in a synchronized advance. The leader, a tall figure in dark armor, stepped forward, a low growl escaping from under his mask. "You shouldn't have come here, human," he sneered, his hand gripping a pulse rifle that gleamed in the dim light. "Neither should you," Alex replied, his voice steady as he aimed his weapon at the advancing pirates. Without warning, a barrage of gunfire exploded in the cave. The pirates retaliated immediately, the crackle of plasma fire echoing through the narrow tunnel. Alex's team responded with deadly precision, their shots landing with perfect accuracy. Each pirate they took down seemed to be replaced by two more. "Fall back!" Alex shouted over the chaos, his voice breaking through the din. "We can't hold this position." The team moved in sync, retreating to a larger chamber in the cave system. They had bought themselves some breathing room, but it was temporary at best. The pirates were relentless, and Alex knew they were running out of time. Mara gritted her teeth as she checked her rifle. We can't keep this up much longer. We need to take out their commander. Agreed, Alex said, his mind already planning. The pirate leader was the key. If they could eliminate him, they could break the pirates' coordination. It would disrupt their entire operation. But first, they needed to get past the remaining soldiers. The next few minutes would be crucial. Everyone, stay sharp, Alex ordered, his voice low and commanding. Mara, with me. The rest of you, hold the line. As they prepared to move again, the ground suddenly trembled beneath them. The rumbling was different this time. A deep, ominous vibration that sent shivers down Alex's spine. It wasn't an explosion. It was something far worse. The siege weapon is powering up, Mara said, her voice tight with realization. They're preparing to fire. Alex felt his heart skip a beat. They had no more time to waste. Push forward. We don't stop until we've taken out that cannon, he shouted, leading the charge through the labyrinthine tunnels. The cave system had once been an ideal hiding place for the pirates, but now it was their prison. The deeper Alex and his team went, the more they could feel the walls closing in. It wasn't just the threat of the pirates. It was the sense of urgency, the knowledge that the enemy had their finger on the trigger of death. Alex, up ahead, Mara called, pointing down a side passage. At the end of the hallway, they saw it, the command center. It was heavily guarded, but they had no choice. If they didn't act now, the entire colony would be obliterated. The rest of the team spread out, taking positions. Alex and Mara moved forward, silent as shadows. At the entrance, a pair of pirate sentries stood, oblivious to the impending attack. Alex gestured for Mara to flank them, and in a split second, they were both moving, swift as predators. Mara took the left, her movements a blur as she silently incapacitated the first guard. Alex followed, dropping the second with a quick, efficient shot. The sound of the pirate hitting the floor was swallowed by the walls, the chamber eerily quiet once more. Clear, Alex whispered. They entered the command center, a vast room filled with high-tech consoles and flickering screens. At the far end, the pirate commander stood, his back to them, surrounded by a handful of heavily armored soldiers. It's over, Alex said, his voice cold, authoritative. You've lost. The commander turned, a twisted grin crossing his face. Human arrogance. You think you can defeat me, with your inferior tactics and limited resources? Alex didn't flinch. We've faced worse than you. The pirate commander raised his weapon, but before he could fire, Mara's shot rang out, taking him down with deadly accuracy. Mission accomplished, Mara said, lowering her rifle. She didn't smile, but there was a flicker of satisfaction in her eyes. Alex nodded, his heart pounding in his chest. They had done it. They had stopped the pirate leader. But the fight wasn't over. The siege weapon was still active, and it would take everything they had to disable it before it was too late. Chapter 4: The Last Stand. The command center was in chaos. Alex stood at the center of it all, pulse racing, sweat dampening his brow. The pirate's siege weapon was active, its hum vibrating through the walls, signaling the devastation it was ready to unleash on the colony. His team had taken down the pirate's commander, but they were far from safe. The weapon was still armed and time was running out. Can you disable it? Alex barked at Mara, who was crouched in front of a series of glowing panels, her hands moving rapidly over the controls. Her fingers hovered over a key, hesitating. I can try, she said, her voice tight. But I'll need more time, and the security's tighter than I expected. The system is almost completely locked down. Alex's mind raced. Time was something they didn't have. The underground complex was crawling with pirates, and every second they wasted was another moment for the weapon to fire. He glanced at the rest of his team. Jared and Tessa were setting up defensive positions, while Lucas was already scanning the area for enemy movement. Can you buy me some time? Mara asked, looking up from the console, her eyes locking with Alex's. She was usually calm under pressure, but even she couldn't hide the fear creeping into her gaze. I can't do it alone. Alex didn't hesitate. He understood exactly what needed to be done. He had to draw the pirates away from Mara's position, give her the space to finish what they'd started. Jared, Tessa, with me, he ordered, turning sharply. We'll take the long corridor and distract them. Mara, keep at it. We'll cover you. Without waiting for a response, Alex took off down the corridor, his heart pounding. The sound of gunfire echoed behind him as the rest of the team followed. They reached a junction, and Alex motioned for them to stop. The pirates were closing in fast, and if they didn't act quickly, Mara would be exposed. I'll take the first wave, Alex said, already setting up in the corner, his weapon raised. Tessa, Jared, stay behind me. Cover the flanks. Moments later, the first pirate soldiers came into view. They were focused, determined, too focused on the team's previous position to notice Alex and his group. Now! Alex shouted. The blast from his pulse rifle lit up the corridor, the shockwave sending the first pirate crashing into the wall. Jared followed suit, sending another pirate sprawling to the ground with a well-placed shot. Tessa moved with swift precision, eliminating the third threat before it could react. But there were more. So many more. The pirates regrouped quickly, and within seconds, a dozen more appeared, weapons raised. Alex's pulse quickened, but he stood firm. They were outnumbered, but they had something the pirates didn't. Human determination. You think you can win this, human? A pirate commander shouted, stepping into view. You're out of your depth. Alex locked eyes with the pirate leader. I'm not here to win. I'm here to stop you. With a growl, the pirate commander lunged toward Alex, his blade drawn. Alex barely had time to react before the pirate was upon him, slashing viciously. The blade whizzed by Alex's ear, narrowly missing. With a fluid motion, Alex sidestepped, using the pirate's momentum against him to deliver a quick, decisive strike. The pirate commander stumbled, but recovered quickly, his eyes filled with fury. You can't stop us, he hissed. Alex took a deep breath, steeling himself for the fight. Watch me. The clash between them was fierce. Every strike from the pirate commander was met with a calculated block or counterattack from Alex. They were locked in a deadly dance, a struggle for survival, where only one could come out alive. As they fought, Alex couldn't help but think of Mara, of the time she needed to disable the weapon. Each second felt like an eternity. Behind him, the rest of the team continued to fight off the advancing pirates. Tessa's rifle fired in rapid succession, her aim unerring as she took down the incoming waves. Jared was beside her, using his grenade launcher to scatter groups of pirates into disarray. But even with their combined efforts, the pirates didn't break. The sheer number of them was overwhelming. Mara! Alex called out, his voice cutting through the chaos. How's it going? There was no answer. His heart skipped a beat. He glanced over his shoulder, but the team was too engaged with the enemy to help. It was up to him to buy them just a little more time. With a surge of energy, Alex launched a final strike, knocking the pirate commander off balance. The pirate stumbled back, a look of shock on his face. Alex didn't give him time to recover. In one swift motion, Alex disarmed the commander and delivered a crushing blow that sent the leader crumpling to the floor. The room went still. Alex breathed heavily, his adrenaline pumping. The pirate commander was down, but it wasn't over. Team, Alex said, voice urgent. We need to fall back. Mara, how much longer? Another heartbeat passed, the silence deafening. Finally, Mara's voice crackled through the comms. Done. The weapon's disabled. It won't fire. Alex felt a wave of relief wash over him. But there was no time to savor the victory. The remaining pirates were still in the caves, and they were not going to retreat quietly. We're not out of the woods yet, Alex said. Move now. The team regrouped and moved toward the exit, fighting their way through the tunnels. They had won, but the battle wasn't over. The pirates might have lost their weapon, but the war was far from finished, and they were ready for whatever came next.